Hi there. We're going to be taking a look today at simplifying rational expressions. Simplifying rational expressions is going to be very similar to what we would do whenever we're simplifying a fraction. So let's go ahead and take a look at our rules. Alright, the biggest, most important thing to remember here is that we can only cancel factors. We can't cancel terms. Another way of saying this is we can only cancel out things that are multiplied together. We can't cancel out things that are added or subtracted. So for instance, here I've got x plus 4, x plus 2, x minus 3, and x plus 4. Now it looks like I've got a lot of addition and subtraction here, but since these sets of parentheses are right next to each other and there's nothing in between the parentheses, what's inside is multiplied by the other side. So this x plus 4 is multiplied by this x minus 2 here, and the x minus 3 is multiplied times the x plus 4 on bottom. So I can actually cancel out this whole x plus 4 on top and the whole x plus 4 on bottom. So I can't cancel out the individual x's or the individual numbers, but this whole parentheses right here, since this whole parentheses is multiplied this whole other parentheses, I can cancel it out on bottom and I can cancel out the x plus 4 on top. When I do this, the only thing that I'm left with is the x plus 2 on top and the x minus 3 on bottom. Now, right here, I cannot simplify this any further because there's nothing that is multiplied together. The only thing that I have is an x plus 2, we've got addition, and the x minus 3, we've got subtraction. So these are terms here in the numerator and denominator. They're not factors. So there's nothing we can cancel out, and this would be our answer. That is the simplified form. Over here, looking at this example right here, notice we have the 4 on top, we have a 4 on bottom, but since this 4 on bottom is added to the x, these two are terms, these are not factors, so this cannot be simplified. This is already in its simplest form right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what a problem is going to look like. So here for this problem, we're asked to simplify and find the domain. I'm going to go ahead and find the domain first. I think it's a little bit easier to do that because that'll help us simplify. But honestly, you could simplify it first and then find the domain as long as you were very, very careful about what you were doing. I will explain more after the video. But here, if we're finding the domain, we want to set our denominator equal to 0. And then we're going to solve. So remember, whenever we have a trinomial like this, we want to try and factor it. And I could go through each step individually, but since we're more concerned about simplifying the rational expression, I'm just going to skip a couple of steps. If you want me to explain the steps to you, please raise your hand and I'll come over and I will explain those steps individually. But we end up with x plus 2 and x plus 5 as our two parentheses. So when we have this right here, we set each of the parentheses equal to 0. And then I'm going to solve. I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides here. And get x equals negative 2. Over on this side, I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. And get x equals negative 5. So my domain is all real numbers except negative 2 and negative 5. So this is my first part of my answer, so I'm going to box that up. The second part here, I need to simplify this, and so I can cancel things out. So I already know the denominator factors into these two things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this over here, and I'm going to have x plus 2 and x plus 5, because I know the denominator factors into those two things. This is why I found the domain first, because that step right there helped me out with the simplifying process. Now if I look at the numerator up here, I see I can divide both 4 and 8 by the number 4. So I'm going to put a 4 out in front, and then I'm going to have my parentheses, because I know I can factor out a 4 from both of these. Now 4x divided by 4 is just x, and 8 divided by 4 is going to give me 2. So I'm going to have x plus 2 inside the parentheses. Well, look at that. We've got an x plus 2 in the numerator. We've got an x plus 2 in the denominator. Now we've got to make sure that these are factors and not terms, so we can cancel them out. And this x plus 2 is multiplied by the 4, and this x plus 2 is multiplied by x plus 5. So since they're both multiplied and they're not added to anything, we can go ahead and cancel them out. Now, what I'm left with is simply 4 on the top and x plus 5 in the bottom. And this is my simplified expression right here. And that's our answer.